Well, hello. How are you? I'm glad you're doing fine. Where am I today? Went somewhere different, of course. I'm in Townsend, Tennessee, just outside Wears Valley. And why am I here? Because they're having the Fall Homecoming Festival here in Townsend. It's free to the public, so if you haven't been here, come on out. It's a wonderful place to come to. The Heritage Museum is chock full of history all about this area. Not just Townsend, it covers the whole area, and I think you'll enjoy it. We're season card holders, so we come here often because we just like this place. But today I wanted to show you the Fall Festival that they're having here. It's called the Fall Homecoming Festival in Townsend. So don't go anywhere. I'm going to show you it all in just a moment. And as promised, yes, you're in Vacation Station TV, your virtual getaway, and we are in Townsend, and we are at the Heritage Museum, and it's more than just a museum. It's so much more than it, but I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to let Logan Hull talk all about it. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Better than bad.
Well, thanks for coming out. Today we've got our holiday homecoming event. It's from 11 to 3 today. We've got live music. We've got Santa. We've got a lot of great things going on that just kind of old-timey Christmas, so people can kind of get to spend time with their family in these crazy times.
And one thing nice about this place, it's not, as we've talked a little bit, it's not the touristy place.
It's not. We're kind of the hidden gem out here. So
not for long.
Well, we're hoping that more people know about us and get to come experience the heritage of our area and learn about the people who lived here and their lifestyle, and just some more history about the area and what makes this area so special.
And what's nice is you have how many cabins here?
We have 13 buildings back here. They've all been relocated here. Everything is fully furnished the way it would have been during the pioneer times.
And these are original cabins?
Most of them are, yes. The main cabins, Cardwell House and the Montvale Station, are all original. They just got relocated here. So we're kind of saving those little pieces of uniqueness that keep this area so neat.
And you don't have to drive all over the place. They're on this little, how many acres we have here?
It's about 10, and what's really nice is this is kind of like a miniature Cades Cove. So if the traffic gets too bad inside Cades Cove, which we all know it can be, this is a nice place to come see those same type of buildings, and ours are furnished, theirs are not.
Furnished, and they're in really great shape for as old as they are, and I've been through all these so many times. They would withstand any storm that comes through here, and they do, obviously.
They do.
They're still here.
They're a little chilly in the winter. Not much insulation, but we've got several fires burning today, so we've kept it nice and toasty this morning.
Now, give me a little more information about what's going on in the next upcoming weeks, like being we're heading into the holiday season.
So starting next Saturday, which is November 28th, we're hosting our Christmas in the Village here at the Heritage Center. So from 5 to 9, we are hosting candlelight tours. We've got all the buildings are decorated, lights, candles in the window. We're going to have demonstrations of handcrafters and period folks, or period dressed folks here, and just a very unique area, or a very neat event to come do with your family.
And definitely well worth it. The price of admission is?
It's $10 for adults, $8 for seniors, and $7 for kids.
Very reasonable indeed. Yeah. Now, of course, I would say subscribe and become a member.
Absolutely. There's also the membership that we do offer here. So we have concerts during the summer, several festivals throughout the year, and museum admission all throughout the year that you get to come see what's new and what we've added. So. And
what I also like is when you say you have concerts, you have like a little amphitheater that holds quite a few people.
Pre-COVID times, we fit about 500 people in there. Now it's much more limited, but we are doing everything by the book and safety first, and we've had several great concerts, and everything's very socially distant and still fun. That's been the great part. We've still been able to.
Who do you have coming up?
Coming up, we've got Billy Dean. So he's a Grammy.
Really?
We do. December 11th. It's Friday night.
That's just down a couple of weeks away.
It is. We've been very busy planning this one.
Wow.
So he won several Grammys back in the 90s, and we're super
yes.
excited to have him doing a holiday concert for us. And that Candlelight Tour is also going to be included in the ticket for that. So you can buy tickets on our website,
Really?
which is gsmheritagecenter.org. You can also find us on Facebook, and we would like to thank our sponsors and to make this possible.
And become a member, absolutely.
become a
Because
member,
the money that you charge, which is almost nothing, it's not even close to one visit to something in the Pigeon Forge year, and you get a year of this.
It is, and we are a private nonprofit, so we really depend on those visitations and those memberships
Yes.
to help keep us open and help keep this little, being able to share our history with other folks.
This little community.
It is.
It is a community.
It is.
If you haven't been here yet, you walk around what essentially is a little town. It literally is like a little tiny town of, I don't know how far back some of these go, turn of the century, 1800s, maybe even a little bit earlier than that. But you'll walk into each individual cabin as the way it was, as it was decorated, as it was lived in. And you'll get a real sense of how rough life really was. And I'm sure you were amazed to see how rough things could really be.
It was not an easy way to go about things. So, I mean, just to get to the closest town, I mean, just the folks that lived inside the national park, well, before it was a national park, Knoxville, Maryville were going to be their closest places that they could get.
Which is 35, 40 miles?
Yeah, and no cars.
No, horse and wagon or horse.
Or walking. A lot of them walked.
That's where a lot of these roads came from. They were footpaths.
They were. And, you know, it was not an easy life. They were very self-reliant. But they were very ingenious in the things that they came up with to help make life a little bit easier. So one of our neat things, the chains you see coming from the buildings, those are actually the downspouts for rain. So that way it wouldn't wash the foundation out.
Bet people didn't realize that.
Yeah.
People go, why are you hanging chains from your building?
Exactly.
Well, because the water trickles down it. And instead of it splashing, which it would, and then wear away the ground underneath, the water captures the rain and drizzles it down so that it doesn't wear, because one thing you don't want is erosion under a cabin, because then you get mold and mildew and stuff.
Absolutely.
Let's go in there. Take me in there.
So this is the Cardwell cabin.
Cardwell is a big name in this town.
It is. It was originally in Sevier County, circa late 1800s.
Oh, look at that. And the fire is going.
How
about that?
So I've been told they had 6 or 7 kids. They all slept upstairs. And it is not a big place.
No, as you can see, it's probably, I'm guesstimating, 20 by 20, maybe give or take a foot or two. But this is where Mom and Dad most likely would have been.
Absolutely. The kids were all upstairs.
Kids upstairs, and sometimes they put the smaller ones under the beds if they were raised
Right.
up. I think that's over in one of those.
Yeah, they have the rope beds and the trundle beds. But like I mentioned earlier, insulation was not much of a thing. So they
No,
would put,
there's no insulation.
Newspaper across the walls to kind of block those gaps to keep some of the heat in.
There was no R factor in these buildings at all.
Not so much.
In fact, if you look carefully, you can see that the way that they put them together, and it's very much like they were, you can see sunlight
Yes.
through there. And this is how it would be. Now, of course, you could put chink in there, and you could fill it in with mud and stuff, but it didn't, they didn't always do that. They just kind of lived this way.
Exactly.
You keep the fire roaring.
You put more quilts on the bed.
Yeah.
And you made do with what you had.
You had to.
You had to. That's
There
the
was
only
no
choice.
Walmart.
No.
No.
There was none of that.
No
So,
Costco, no Walmart.
Very self-reliant. So, and I think that's a big thing about East Tennessee is being very self-reliant.
How often, if you know, how often did people go to town for provisions?
It was usually one member of the family.
Really?
And
It wouldn't be a whole family event?
No, it was not a family outing.
Really?
I mean, so many of them went by foot.
And it was dangerous. You had bobcat, you had mountain lions, you had bear.
Everything. And just this stove right here, it's a pretty famous stove. This one was carried on the back of a Cates Cove resident.
On the back?
On the back.
Oh, that's got to weigh 100 pounds.
Easily. But the folks in Maryville, where he bought it, told him that if he could carry it back to Kate's Cove, he could have it for free. But he couldn't stop. And so the man strapped it on his back with rope.
And could not stop.
Could not stop. And carried it all the way from Maryville to Kate's Cove, which is about, I think it was about 27 miles.
This is, I guess, cast iron.
It's cast iron.
Oh my goodness! And this, in its day, would have been probably a little bit a better end stove.
Absolutely,
too,
it's brand new.
Because back then, if you had a little half the size stove, you were lucky. So this is higher end.
Yep.
Were these people considered more of a middle class? I mean, the Caldwells? Even though the cabin is small, to have a cabin even this big was a big deal.
It was. I mean, everything was handmade, so they were able to put this together themselves.
Including the logs.
Absolutely.
They're hewn by hand.
They are hand-hewn logs, and it was just up to the family to build it. So, as far as their economic status, I'm not real sure on that.
Okay.
But we're just thankful that we were able to save this little piece of history and bring it here.
Absolutely. And the kids, I know you can't see it, but upstairs is basically a loft area. It's flat, and they would go up there via the stairway here. And but I know that the shingles and stuff would let weather in often.
Yes, the kids would tell many stories that when it was raining, it would be fine because the logs would swell and the shingles would swell. But during the winter, when everything would start to contract, they would wake up with snow on them.
Wow.
I think that would be a chilly way to wake up.
No, and of course the blankets were far and few in between.
Absolutely.
Horsehair blankets or whatever they could find.
And everything was made by the women in the family. So
hence the spinning. It's is it not a loom? But it's not a spinning wheel. It's
a type of spinning wheel.
Yeah.
But they would also weave their own fabric.
Oh yeah.
And
from the sheep, I guess they would have sheep, or they would have something of that nature to create the thread. There's a smaller version of a spinning wheel.
Flax is also used. Very commonly out here.
Mm-hmm. I remember, just as a quick story, where my uncle lived up in Cherry Valley, New York. He had a house from the 1740s they lived in, and they discovered a secret attic, and he'd been there for many, many, many years, and there was a secret attic in there, and I remember the pictures. A giant spinning wheel, the original spinning wheel, was in the attic, and cases of wine from the 1750s. Yeah, he cashed in on that. He cashed in. These would have been the basic apparel for the kids, boy or girl. It's basically just a house dress, right?
Absolutely.
Not much to keep you warm on those cold winter nights.
No, but in the summer it was pretty nice.
Yeah, because it's warm here in the summer.
It is warm. It's not. We have pretty moderate temperature.
Yes. Let's go to the other building.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just love these places because you could feel the history. You know, Logan, you can. Do you come out here often?
I do, every day.
You can feel the people in there.
Absolutely.
It's not craziness.
It's not. And the church is a very unique place.
Yes. Felt it every time we've ever been in there.
It's peaceful.
As soon as you walk through the doors, you can feel it. You know. Now, explain what I'm panning around and looking at now.
So, this is the Montvale station. This was here in Blount County, and this was kind of one of the first hotels here in the area. And pretty much they would pay to spend the night and get a warm meal.
12.5 cents?
About that.
For half a bed?
Yeah, for half a bed. There is an upstairs.
So you could sleep to a stranger. Right? There would be some other person.
I haven't talked to anybody who actually stayed there. It is fully possible. But they did have a barn out back to park your horses. This would be for the children, or maybe another guest if they wanted to curl up. Absolutely.
Because back in those days, this was it. There's no Hilton. There's no place to stay. This was it.
This is it, and this is actually one of it's a rope bed.
Yep.
So the term "sleep tight."
That's where it comes from.
Bed bugs bite.
And bed bugs were a problem.
They still are most places, aren't they?
Most hotels, right?
So, and it wasn't just bed bugs; it was anything that lived in the straw that was made out of the mattress.
Because it's not in there, but the straws were basically pine. I don't know if this one has it or not. Oh, there! Touch that again.
Can you hear that?
So that's
yeah, it's a
leaves
straw
and
bed.
stuff, right?
It's straw and
straw.
Other material, flags. But yeah.
And she's not kidding, because once again, on our earlier video, you know that I showed you the rope. This is the rope, and it would be tightened up with that tool. Show them that tool.
Oh, you're going to make me use this one.
Well.
This is the tool.
Okay.
And I'm not the master at this.
That's
so
okay.
I'm not going to attempt it.
Neither am I. That's why I'm not doing it.
But yeah, they would tighten it up with this. And it was pretty much a daily
You had
thing.
to.
You had to.
Because otherwise you would fall right through those ropes.
Through, and then the trundle bed underneath, they would get an
unexpected guest. Charge them 12.5 cents for that too.
Exactly.
Now this is no bigger than that last cabin we were in.
No.
How often would people come and visit? And I know they have room upstairs.
They do have room upstairs. You're gonna have to forgive me. I don't know exactly how many people would stay here at a time, but you could definitely expect, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
They come in on stagecoach or maybe on their horses and just passing through town.
Going through. Or
how did people know about this place? Was it something in the newspaper or by word of mouth?
It was by mainly word of mouth. So there were some local papers in Maryville, but if you were not in Maryville or not staying in Maryville, it was all by word of mouth and just asking folks, hey,
and just follow the path.
Follow the path.
Because there was no highway.
No highway whatsoever.
No good time trolley.
No.
And this would have been, I guess, the dinner table?
Yes.
When you rented here, did that include room and board?
Most times, yes. So it would provide usually one meal with it.
Whatever it was. Whatever they killed that day.
It was, you got what you got.
That's where the word board comes from, is when they say room and board. Room is, of course, where you stay, but the board is you'd get a board. Literally a board, a plank, and that plank would hold usually bread and or beans or some sort of hearty, starchy protein meal for you to complete your day.
Yes.
That's where room and board came from. I don't think, it's just a little thing that popped into my head. Sorry. I love the fireplace. Now this is not a normal styled fireplace. This is very well done, and I'm assuming they did it. This is from the original fireplace, so this was taken apart and put back together again.
It was
very nicely done. I'd be honored to have that in my house.
I would too.
Wouldn't that be pretty? It's absolutely beautiful, and you can feel the difference from that cabin was nice and snuggly warm. This one's chilly and the sun is beating down today.
The nice thing is all of our fireplaces here on property, they are all fully functional. Wow. We get them chimney sweeped once a year, and so we were able to have fires and do open hearth cooking. Wow. And so we've got also an event coming up in January, our Winter Heritage Festival, and we will actually have demonstrators out cooking meals. Cool.
Now, what about on the 28th? These will all be candle lit. Is that correct?
Will be all candle lit. We'll have demonstrations in here. We'll have living historians in here, just kind of talking about what Christmas would have been like in the pioneer days. So it was pretty much a normal day.
You'd go out to work. You had to.
Christmas morning, you would wake up and you still had to... Chores, yeah, absolutely.
And the Christmas tree would maybe be about like that.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
We have put those newfangled lights on things.
Yeah, I don't think they'd have neon bulbs back in those days. They would have actually used candles in those days.
And that's if they had a tree. So, that was a very special thing to be able to do.
Is there any history that you have come across that talk about Christmas and how it was celebrated here?
So pretty much it was just a normal day. I mean, they would celebrate with family. They'd get together. They'd typically go to church, especially the family inside Cades Cove.
It was a big part of your week.
Absolutely a big part of your week. So it was another day of the week that you got to go to church and you see that fellowship with your neighbors. But other than that, they might have small presents to open. They might have a heartier meal, but it was a day that everything else had to get done as well.
And very simple, too.
Very simple.
The packages may have been gifts that were made by the father or the mother or the kids. Very basic things.
Absolutely. It might have been something carved. It might have been
most likely carved.
Woven from your mom, something knitted or crocheted.
Something you needed.
Absolutely. It was necessities. It wasn't...
There was no...
frivolous purchases.
No iPhone.
No.
I need Dad. I need a new iPhone.
It was not a new video
What's
game.
What's an iPhone?
It was not a new phone. It was something that they needed and was desperate for. So,
Oh yeah, most basic wearing
basic
things,
necessities.
Maybe
Yes.
even your shoes repaired or your boots repaired,
Yes.
or because back they couldn't afford boots, they couldn't afford shoes. There was no shoe stores. You went to a cobbler, and you got what you got, and it better last.
And one of the treasured items was to get an orange. That was
Really?
such a rare item around here that was going to cost Mom and Dad some money.
Really?
And that was a very special thing to receive on Christmas morning.
orange.
And that's a tradition that still carries over. My kids get oranges every single year.
Really?
Absolutely.
And that was just because it's carried over, and that it
carried
was
over.
something big. Oranges, which would have come from much further south,
Absolutely.
so to get them up here.
Somebody had to go to town. They weren't growing in the backyard.
No, they weren't.
So.
Very good. Let's go to the next place.
Absolutely.
This is great. I just love coming here. What a way. You know, folks, if you live here, even if you don't, you come up once or twice a year, become a member of the Heritage Museum, and then all you have to remember is, when did he get here? Ho, 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 yourself. When did you get there?
Well, I got here actually about a week early.
Were you here when I was looking at the chain?
Not even Thanksgiving yet. and Here I am.
Was he here when I was looking at the chain?
Yes,
he was.
How did I miss you?
Who knows?
Now, don't put that on my list, that I miss Santa.
Well, you're still on the nice list, but we'll have to see.
How is Santa today?
Santa is always doing well.
You got a nice sunny spot here. I feel the warmth here, you know. This is...
Well, it's a lot different than the North Pole.
Yeah. I don't see the reindeer. Where are they?
The reindeer in the woods eating, they're very shy.
Very, very
You can't
shy.
see 'em.
And I'm sure the elves are cobbling away.
They are busily working, and Mrs. Santa is busy supervising
And cooking.
and cooking. A lot to cook for.
I wanted a mincemeat pie.
Love mincemeat pie. A
I
lot of
never
people these
had one.
days, a lot of these people these days don't even know what mincemeat pie is.
Explain what a mincemeat pie is. I have an idea, but I don't know.
Well, it's minced meat
Right.
of a
That's the
variety
word.
and a group of spices and seasonings and whatever. They're baked in a pie. It's basically a poor man's dish, and they couldn't afford a lot of good meat.
Would it have been similar to a shepherd's pie?
Well, except the meat was much better that went into a shepherd's pie.
They whatever tough meat they can bang and cook.
These might have been what today are called sweetbreads, and
A nice name.
other
for it.
organs and such that
Just to fill up on.
to fill up on, and it's very good. And
Oh, I'm
Santa likes
sure. Santa likes mincemeat. So remember that when Santa comes, to heck with the cookies, give him a mincemeat pie.
Well, now there were several people that asked what kind of cookies Santa likes.
And what does he
Santa
like?
likes all kinds of cookies, but his favorites are peanut butter.
Peanut butter.
Yes.
Not macadamia fudge?
No.
No.
Yeah, but I do like macadamia fudge.
So don't
But-
forget you like macadamia.
I like shortbreads. I like
Sure you do.
chip.
And for a man so thin and eating all those cookies at every stop,
Well, it's a very busy night.
and you burn it all up.
Yeah.
You burn it all up. Very good. Thank you, Santa.
Yes, indeed.
He's
Happy Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas.
and to you too, and to the missus,
Yes, indeed.
and the deers and the elf. I did not see him there. I'm
I'm
sorry.
going to have to go change out the bands here in just a
Okay,
second.
I'll wander around.
Yeah.
Or no, take me one more place. Take
Okay.
me to the church. Take me to church, girl.
Get there on time.
And get to that. Never
I am not
happens.
the expert on the church, but we will do our
I'll let you go in there because it's so pretty in there. Now, this church was from 1910.
Yes, maybe a little bit before then, but it was here in Blount County. It's Wilder's Chapel, which was over on the northeast side of the county.
And they picked this one up and moved it, didn't they?
Yeah, it was possibility of it being torn down. So
How could they possibly do that?
I know.
I could never. I mean, even if I worked for a bulldozing company, I could never take a church down to the ground. I mean, that would be something that would break in me.
Yeah.
Very simple church indeed.
So it was an African American AME church.
The people are here. It's the pastor, Reverend Andy and Mrs. Weir, right there. The Reverend Weir pastored Wilder's Church, or Wielders Church? Wilder's Church. That was located near Sevierville Road. Mrs. Weir died in 1927 and was preceded by her husband, Reverend Weir. I bet this place hopped on Sunday, and I could imagine. Oh, what's that? There's the bell.
Yes. Everyone's welcome to ring the bell.
I didn't even know that we were allowed to. I wouldn't do that because I figured the police would come.
No? We welcome it.
Such a simple church, but churches were simple back then because it was about the book. It wasn't about the marble. It wasn't about the gold. And in fact, they probably didn't even have a gold chalice.
I'm sure.
It would have been a very simple chalice
It would have been.
to receive communion. Will you be doing services here?
We do a couple times a year. It's usually outside groups that come here and request to use this space.
I bet.
We have weddings in here for small parties.
Don't tell my wife. She wants to get married for the 5th time now.
You should do it.
She loves this right here.
We'll even ring the bell for you.
And see that, Marie? You're going to get the bell rung for you at the church. What a great place to come.
It's lovely.
You can
It really
feel
is.
it, can't you?
Yeah.
There's a
It's
silence in
amazing.
here, even with the background.
It's a very peaceful spot.
Yes. I love this
Nice
place.
little place
Come
to
to
come.
this, folks. This isn't Cades Cove. Now, Cades Cove, you can go into the church there, and it's a beautiful church indeed. But this is a complete little community. Look at this view that we have here. We've got the what was the name of that?
Montvale.
Montvale, and then the Cardwell.
Cardwell.
Cardwell. This is
The granary. It was kind of like their barn where they stored everything.
Yeah, they had to. Oh yeah, for the varmints and stuff.
We've also got a almost functioning moonshine still.
Almost
it's not legal to function, but we do have it. It was actually from Sevier County, so that is one of our little prides and joy that we.
Yes, it's
so
down
many-
down the walkway to the right.
Absolutely.
And you can actually see how it was made. Everything is there that you need.
Everything is like somebody just walked away from it.
And probably did.
Probably did.
The revenuers were coming.
So since they made moonshine legal, it's a little bit different of a situation today than it would have been, 60, 70 years ago.
Oh, yes. The amphitheater is right over there. I'll be taking a walk over there shortly. But that's where the concerts are. They have the fire pit right there. You see the fire pit. Then that's burning, I'm sure, doing everything. Yes. And it's on now. I can see the smoke coming out. And all the machinery that's here. Now, if you refer to our earlier video on the Heritage Center and the Visitor Center, you'll see that I talk extensively about all this machinery that's in here, and it was used, and talk about hardships. These old steam clunkers would make a lot of noise, but they took a lot of the work away for the men that would be hewing the logs or doing whatever they had to do, because it was it was basically the early attachment age, because you could put stuff on there and make it do all different things, and that's what's cool about it. You could do corn, you could do grain, you could do wheat, you can do any of the above, and it would do all the work for you.
And that is our large cantilever barn. That is one of those items that is very special to East Tennessee.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but the reason why it's made the way it was that the landowners had to pay taxes on whatever part of the building was touching the land.
They were clever even
They
then.
were very clever. So they made the post as small as they could, and of course these support beams have been added just to help support it now.
Right.
But they would not have been there originally. So it had the absolute smallest footprint it could have. So
And
they
least
would-
amount of tax.
Least amount of taxes.
How cool is that? Then you have a little barn over there that has carriages in it and all sorts of cool vehicles, and you need to go to that. I will be walking up that way shortly to kind of give everyone an overall view of how beautiful this place is. You do get a view of the Smoky Mountains no matter where I turn. See, this is not like where you go, look at this. I'm right here, and this is considered still Wares Valley.
Wares Valley would be to your east. Sorry, that's south. That's east.
East.
That's west.
What would this now be considered? These?
This is all just about to the national park. So
Oh,
the
it is that
boundary isn't
close.
less from a mile from here.
Okay, so the park is right here.
Absolutely.
What a
Sorry,
beautiful
that would
place.
be north. Would be worse.
That's okay. I don't have a compass in my head either. I'll get lost in just getting out of here. I love the way the buildings were made. So much attention to the detail. If you're looking now at our video, you can see how much love went into these buildings, and everything had to be notched by hand. And you can see it's all dovetailed. The earlier beams are dovetailed so they don't pull apart. And on my earlier video, I showed that to people, how ingenious they figured out the dovetailing.
They had to be.
And it's important.
It's an amazing piece of engineering is how they pulled some of the stuff off.
Simple engineering.
Very simple, but also not something that you would commonly think of. So they had to be.
Somebody showed them.
Somebody did, but
Had
there was
to.
no formal education either.
None
So everything was
whatsoever.
passed down through generations.
From father to son, grandfather to son, from son to son, down the line. And the true test is it's stood this long.
It has.
So they
It's
must have
amazing.
done something right, because some of these buildings are how old? Got to be 150, 200 years old, maybe?
These buildings are about 130 to 140. We do have the Isaac Anderson cabin that is here on site. It was built in 1804, I believe. So it's our newest, oldest building. So it just got relocated here in 2019. And so we are very happy to have it here.
And which one is that?
It's actually right down by the road. You can't miss it on your way.
Oh, the one coming in. That
Yes.
tiny little place, but it's beautiful.
So Isaac Anderson was the founder of Maryville College. That house was originally up in Knoxville, and it was scheduled to get torn down. So we were able to raise some funds and save that building and bring it here. So
And you would have thought the college would have put it on their property.
they helped us raise funds. They just didn't have any place to put it on site. So
I'm glad it's here.
we are too.
It's safe here.
We are very happy that they have trusted us to let it
Yes,
stay
'cause
here.
it couldn't be any better hands than it is right now.
We like
I
to
can
think
tell
so.
that this is well cared for here.
Well,
Good job. Good
Thanks.
job.
It was a neat process to get it here too. So
How many more are coming? Plans?
we have a couple in the works right now, so
Very good.
it'll see with everything going on right now. How
More
long
like these?
a couple. Well, I'm not allowed to say.
Okay, don't say. But coming up.
But we are working on building or bringing a few more structures here.
So if you become a member, you would be alerted to that, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
So become.
So-
how much does it cost to become a member? I'm thinking.
So we have family memberships, we have individual memberships, and we have memberships for couples. And then, of course, different levels of how much you want to help support the Heritage Center. That being said, we have a lot of great activities that come included with your membership. We have concerts, we have festivals, and then just to get to spend time with your family
Here.
and your friends here. So what's
People
better?
can come here and just have a lunch, right? They
Absolutely.
I mean, because we come here and we usually sit there, over there, right there or there, and just sit and take this in.
Yeah, it's a very neat place.
And once you buy, you have your little card. I always have it in my wallet. You just come in, show your card, and
come on in.
go about your day and enjoy this. No traffic.
No traffic.
I didn't see a car anywhere. I was the only car came up here, which is great because even when there's a lot of people, it's not traffic. It's
We're
not
able
congested.
to spread everybody out.
Absolutely.
So it feels very peaceful and
Open, not
Open.
claustrophobic.
Yes.
I love the cranberry style wreaths you have. That's what my wife wants. Those things. I keep looking at them and going, okay, where'd you get them?
balsam fir, balsam spruce,
She wants
balsam
the
something.
cranberry type, and there are all the berries in there, but it's basically a cranberry wreath. Very pretty, very nice. Thank you for your
You're welcome.
time.
Thanks for coming out.
I
Appreciate
enjoyed
it.
that.
Thanks.